Hi, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to Culture of Faith podcast. We're going to start a 3-week or so series on parenting. We're going to talk about various topics regarding parenting.
Yeah.
And Brian and I are going to just start it out talking about strong-willed kids.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
Not that we have any experience.
You know, there's the book Strong-Willed Kids, or Parenting Strong-Willed Children, or something like that. And they always talk about it as if you had one, and we had 5. So I don't know how we got
Lucky.
the luck of the draw with that one.
Yeah. I think we just wanted to jump right in and talk about how do we parent in a culture of faith?
Yeah.
How do we parent differently in regards to faith? So I just wanted to have you tell us, we had our first child. She was amazing. And we actually thought when she was 2, like, I don't know what people are talking about with their treble 2s. She's like a perfect angel. And literally the day she turned 3,
It was her 3rd birthday.
she turned into...
Something different.
Yeah. I just remember like screaming through the grocery store, just like my cheeks burning. I don't know. I didn't think I was this parent. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we have very spirited children.
Yes.
But I remember something that the Lord told you that really kind of shifted our perspective. Do you remember? Can we like brainwave this?
I'm trying to think which part was it, the consistency part?
No. But you always like that one too.
I do. Tell me what it was. What did the Lord tell me?
It was about the table.
Oh, setting a table before the kids. That one?
Yep.
Yeah. It felt like it was season, and I think it was the Lord speaking to both of us, honestly, of, I think I was getting into a routine of this is what I need to take out of our kids' lives. There's this that's not right. There's this that's not right. We got to take out disrespect. We got to take out arguing. We got to take out these things.
Yeah.
And the Lord began speaking to both of us really about what are we putting in, and just the power of putting in the things that are helpful.
Yeah.
Encouragement, the gospel, helping them to come into relationship with the Lord. And I think it was you that had the picture, honestly, of setting that table before them, of really wanting to desire those things. And then in some ways, it's almost, we still have obviously discipline, and we're still in the process of taking things out, but it's a lot more helpful when you're putting in the good stuff that it almost uproots the bad stuff.
Yeah. Our kids naturally have strong desires. Children in general have strong desires, and they're not always godly.
Yeah.
And just looking at it as a job of like creating a feast that they want to enjoy, because our Christianity, the Lord in our home, shouldn't be a turnoff to our kids. It shouldn't be like eat your vegetables and Jesus loves you.
Yeah. Can we talk about that for a bit?
Yeah.
I feel like that's so important because, it's always a struggle. But I think one of the things we've attempted to do is to help our kids to be able to have like authentic relationships with the Lord. But that kind of starts with us a little bit. Like they have to see it being real for us. Like especially you and me, because we pastor at a church, so they see us in pastor mode in front of other people. And if we're to act drastically different at church than we did at home, there's this inauthenticity that comes in. And so we're always trying to like, okay, well, how can we represent our relationship well?
Well, and I think just valuing their relationship, realizing we tried for a while, but we can't create anything in our kids' hearts like that. And that's where faith comes in, that God actually has to create even a longing for him.
Yeah.
And we just get to set the environment for that. We get to give them opportunities and kind of set them up, and then just pray a lot.
Lots of prayer. Help me remember, what do you think are some ways that we've tried to kind of set that table for the kids?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a lot of times, I think our authentic relationships help. I think if you don't have a relationship with Jesus, that should be your number one goal. Like if your relationship feels dead, you shouldn't be trying to clean up your kids, because it's gonna kind of feed into how they're growing. So just the authenticity of our dependence on Jesus matters. Yeah. But I think also just like giving space for it. I think bedtimes were always a time that our kids were naturally processing things and not kind of rushing through that moment as much as we wanted to.
Which is so hard.
Because it's the worst.
It's like you're putting the kids down and you're like, I just want you to go to sleep so we can go relax.
And then they're asking these existential questions at like 9:00. But
it really has been the case for us. Some of the most kind of significant moments with our kids have actually been when we didn't want to necessarily be there.
Yeah.
But something happens when they lay their heads down. And it's like their brains are thinking
processing
through these,
the deep things. Yeah.
Deep things with the Lord, questions and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I think for that, like not being like, got to get the answers for them.
Yeah.
But encouraging the questions and turning them even at 3, at 4, like ask Jesus about that.
Yeah.
Talk to Jesus about that. Obviously we're bringing them to scripture. We're teaching them basic things. We're not like leaving them on their own, but from like the start, kind of encouraging them that the Lord wants to speak to them and just, talking about the story of Samuel from younger, like God speaks to kids. He wants your heart. He wants relationship with you. So kind of like not being like, you must come through the priest of your parents from day one, but like, hey, we're here to grow you as a priest.
And there's a legitimate thing, like in some ways, as parents, we are functioning as priests.
Yeah.
In that we're helping to connect them to the Lord. But the idea is that, they're going to grow in independence from us. Like if we're raising our kids well, they should grow in independence. Yeah. And there should be like an element of that as we're kind of handing them off, so to speak, into their own relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
We're always going to be there for them.
Yeah. Not like too much pressure at once. Not
too much pressure. I'm just having memories of like teaching the kids that story of Samuel and our little kids with their little lisps going, here I am, Lord, speak to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's been another thing we've tried to help them to learn to hear God's voice.
Yeah.
In small ways. And it's so messy because like, we've had this experience and other parents have too, where you're trying to teach your kids to hear God. And then, I like clearly remember it was either maybe Zoe or Sawyer, like, I heard God today, Dad. Oh yeah, what did he say? He said, you're supposed to go buy me candy. And I'm like, that was not the Lord, son. He did not speak that to me. Just like, it can be messy, but even in that mess, there's been significant moments where they've really heard the Lord and it's been transformational for them.
Yeah. I think all of this sounds great, but having kids that like, it's just exhausting. Yeah. And we're kind of remembering the glory moments,
happy parts.
The times where we actually had the breakthrough, those little moments where we had like, oh wow, they're hearing God or they're seeing something. But then there's days, hours, all this time in between of complete tearing your hair out exhaustion.
Arguing over who's sitting in which seat in the car. Every single day.
Hours of screaming and just all the there's just a lot there working out.
Yes.
And I think in that case, faith comes in as just not giving up too soon.
Yeah.
Speak on that because you're better at that than me.
Well, I don't know. You're pretty good. I'm just having memories, I think, with Haley, because I feel like your first child in some ways, I guess not for everyone.
Crash course.
It's a crash course. It feels a little bit more difficult because you just don't know anything.
Yeah.
And I remember Haley, once she turned 3 and the strong will, just the stubbornness was coming out. And I remember we would have conversations like, we want her to stay stubborn, but we just want to direct that stubbornness towards the Lord.
That's good.
Like I want her to be stubborn for the kingdom. But I feel like there was probably 4 solid years where we're kind of doing the things we knew we were supposed to do with her. Trying to be consistent and disciplined. Trying to teach her to respect, be honorable, trying to teach her Bible, praying with her, all the things. And it felt like we really did not see a lot of character change or a lot of fruit from it. And I remember going, Lord, are we doing it wrong?
Yeah.
Is this even working? And then I want to say it was right around when she turned 7. There was some switch, and I can't remember what it was. Like, I wish I could remember the specifics, where I had this thought one day. I'm like, oh my goodness, this actually works. And it was like what we had been doing. And when I say consistent, like, we're not that consistent, but trying to be consistent in those things.
Yeah, I think it's, I would be very worried to say it works. Like we had much to do with it other than just trusting God and obeying whatever he said to do, because, each of our kids even is different.
Yeah.
But I think there's something to be said for faithfulness and just like putting all of our chips on God and his faithfulness. Like, we're going to do what you say. We're going to trust our kids to you. And we're not going to give up. Just like literally just like the Christian life, it's going to be messy. It's going to be ups and downs, but we're just not going to quit.
What about the hardest moments when you're just like,
yeah. We have parents coming to us like in moments of exasperation with their kids. And I feel like a lot of times what I want to say to them in that moment, because I'm not personally there and I know I need this encouragement, is your kids need to know that their heart is more important to you than their actions. Like, we're not just trying to create these false fruit in our kids just so it looks good. It doesn't bother us so much that they have these actions. Really what we're worried about are their hearts and connecting with them in that level, rather than just like clean yourself up and then it's not going to last. So just kind of connecting with that. And I think also just having to go to the Lord, like, who is this kid that you've created?
yes.
Like, what do you see in them? Because right now I see like a snotty, screaming mess. And having him to have to remind us, like, this is a person of destiny.
Yeah.
Just like I am, just like you are. It's like that reminder of the identity they've been giving that we get to steward for them. We get to speak into them until they're able to grasp it for themselves.
Yeah.
That's a huge calling, but I think that sometimes is helpful because then we get to kind of speak it back to them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is not how we act because this is not who you are. Yeah. And we say that to our kids a lot. I think, like, not just, we say things that are not great to them, but I think the thing we try to say is like, hey, this isn't who God's created you to be.
Yeah.
You are, and speak, what he has created them to be.
And I think sometimes those worst moments, the times when we want to give up most, but they're actually almost like you're right on that brink of breakthrough.
Yeah.
And you just don't know it.
Yeah.
And that's almost why the enemy sometimes is fighting so hard,
Yeah.
because he knows maybe you're right on the cusp of winning your child's heart for the Lord.
Totally.
Not like we're winning. It's really Christ,
just think about that in anyone's life. It's like the toughest moments are where God comes in and speaks. And so knowing, like, even with our kids, some of these super tough moments is when they might be getting to a place where their heart is kind of stirred up enough to seek God, rather than just kind of going around, nothing bothering them and not needing the Lord.
The Lord's tenderizing.
Yeah, I guess just looking as parents, not getting frustrated like about their actions, but like, okay, there's potential in this moment.
Yeah.
There's potential in this struggle that they have right now. There's such great potential. And this is a culture of faith. Like, there's potential in these moments to lead them to the gospel. There's a potential in this moment to tell them about who God is and what he's done for us. Like, if we're not presenting the gospel, we're not kind of giving the greatest gift we have to give to our kids.
Yeah.
And this is probably a talk for another day, but just our grasp of the gospel is going to influence our parenting. Like,
how so?
If we think sin doesn't matter what we do, God's just kind of covered it all, just keep on sinning, then that's going to be how we parent. If we think God is watching for us to mess up and is a heavy taskmaster, that's also how we'll parent.
Yeah.
But if we have a fear of God and like a huge experience of the grace that he has, like, then that's how we get to parent our kids. So remind yourself of the gospel every day.
Seriously. It's so important.
Yeah. I think there's so much we can talk about. I'm really excited. We have some guests coming that have way more experience than us. And just excited to kind of dive in more into this thing that so many people are in the middle of. We didn't really know what we were getting into, and now we're in it for life. So we want to just kind of get some of these conversations going, so we can better represent culture of faith in our own homes with our own children. It's great.
So good.
Yeah.